and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to continue on. My name is Ali. This is Java with Ali, and we are going to continue on from token test. So this is for beginners Java, and we're going to go in step by step, another step further. Programming comes to me easily and effortlessly. Repeat after me. Programming comes to me easily and effortlessly. So there are a couple of details that we need to cover. Excuse me. Couple of details that we need to cover from the previous video. So we spoke a little bit as an overview of tokens, and we spoke a little bit about print, and we did a different program. And today I'm going to show you a little bit more detail of where you can look things up, because the goal really is to become an independent user. That is always the goal, to become an independent user. And independent, that's what we would say in human language. So you'd say an independent user would be like B1, B2 level if you're using the European frameworks for learning a language. So it would be that you would create your own program. So I'm going to give you some tools today to allow you to explore further. So if we take the previous program that we spoke about last week, we have just a simple int here. And 2 is assigned to the variable called n. We can call it whatever we want. If we think of a variable, it's like a box, and you always have a name, a type, and something in it. And it's the same as a physical box. You always have a box with name, something in it, and a type of box, large, big, small, etc. And it's the same with variables in computers. So if you have an int, it means that it's an integer. If you have a decimal, it's going to have a full, like a comma or a full stop, and it will be a large number with a lot of decimal remainders. So these things we take into account as well within computers, obviously. So we also have to take into account errors when we are using errors. And when we're looking at these types of programs, we can use something called system .println as well. So there's a whole vast plethora of existing classes that we use as part of the java.lang class package even. So like I said before, it's like an onion. It's like a package with all classes in it, and every class has some methods within it. So this is the exact same structure as here. So we have our package, we have our class, and we have our method. The entry point of our program is our public static void main, and then we have things that are called here. So these, what we're called here, is what we're going to talk about today. So we are calling this the java.lang.system class, and within that we have out and the method println. And when you hover over it in Eclipse, you can see exactly what happens or what it does. So prints a string and then terminates the line. This method behaves as though it invokes print string and then println x the string to be printed. So that's the parameters that are sent through it. So if you have something within here, within these brackets, that's what's going to be printed. So you can print either the variable itself or what we looked at last week, a string within here. So if I also take, for example, one of these and just put n here, you can see what's also printed. Errors are a really good way to look at debugging your program. They're also a really good way to find particular things within your computer program as well. And within that, and this is the very start of programming, I'm actually reading, it's quite interesting to look from a German language book perspective versus a English programming book perspective, because the approaches are different. On this side, it's quite funny because it's just a different approach to the way it's taught as well. So I'm going to teach it a very German way, because I'm looking at it at the books around me that are very more it's a different approach. It's really nice. So we have here system.error.println, and that comes from the java.lang.system.err. Now, if we wanted to look that up online to see more things about it, all we have to do is go to our browser and type in our browser. We can just see it's in the Oracle website, and I just did a quick type on Google for the print stream, because that's where it's coming from. So if I go back to my program, when I hovered over it, you can see here it's java.io.printstream. So that's what I looked up. I can also click on it and it shows me more information here within Eclipse as well. Or I can just go straight to my browser and look at that as well. It's really important to be able to look at different parts of your code that's already existing within the language, so you can see what represents what. So here it's a print string adds functionality to another output stream, namely the ability to print representations of various data values conveniently. So here we have our different types of print streams, and we can also use all of these if we want to, which we'll come to in a while. They're all called the same name, but different types are put through, different arguments or parameters are sent through, even though it's the same name, and that's called method overloading, but we'll come to that in another class. For now, we just want to be able to look up different sources, different materials, and be able to read more about it and how we can actually use it in our own programs. So for now, we have print that's being used, println, and printf as well. So the difference between each of those depends on if we have different formatting things that we want to add in. So this will be our biggest thing here. Our biggest difference is that we have our system out and we're just printing n, where it says quadrant, printing n. I'm going to take this one away. This is just our print again. I'm going to take this one. I'll leave that one there actually, and then run our class again. And you can see here printing n. So for an int, we need %d, and for a new line, we need %n. And then I'm also going to have maybe put in another new line, and these are called placeholders. So if I do that again, printing n equals, let's say, and then that's printed out, and then we have another, let's say, we can also add in a spare line in between as well. Not that. You can also have an empty one just to have a print line between. Run the code again. Here we have printing n equals 2. That will be our first line. Our next is going to just be 2. And then we have another line, and then we have our calculation is done, our quadrant, and then we have just the word error. So it comes up as red, and if you want to go into more detail about what it does, you can also look that up online, and we're going to cover that in the next video. So in the next video, we will go through a little bit more of error logging. It's a really important tool to have, so you can figure out what's wrong and you can go and fix it, and then you can continue coding. So that is it for today. I hope it was a light, easy, nice video, and you can repeat after me. Programming comes to me easily and effortlessly. Happy programming. I'll see you next week. Okay, thanks. Bye.